be right now.
Wow.
Not a safe environment for myself. But, you know, I had brothers who had been in trouble, friends, and, you know, I always kind of looked up to the guy who had the cool car and, you know, the good-looking girl, but normally they weren't the ones actually, you know, servicing the community in a positive way.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was those things that allowed me to turn my life around and really get focused, and I've been as focused as I've ever been since that very day. So.
Fantastic. Because you started your fame off as a rapper.
Yes.
Marky Mark.
Yeah, everybody's got to start
Marky
somewhere. Everybody's got to start somewhere.
Everyone has a story to tell.
I felt when the crowd was going, I was gonna take my shirt off and I knew somehow that would probably end up on Instagram. My wife would not be happy about that.
No, you can't do that.
My mother would be more upset than my wife.
So what was life like as a rapper?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. You know, I was, like I said, I was 17, just got out of trouble. And by 18, I had a record out. I had a #1 record in the country and then all over the world. And I was kind of like thrust into a whole new world of craziness.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until, oddly enough, yesterday, I went to visit the late, great Penny Marshall's home. She'd given me my start in film. I had a very short music career, but it allowed me and propelled me into what was really, you know, what I was destined to do and be in film. And I grew up watching movies with my dad. When I met Penny Marshall for the first time, I already had offers to be in movies, but I had no interest in being in movies. But I had a real desire to meet Penny Marshall because she was Laverne from Laverne and Shirley, and Danny DeVito was going to be in the movie, and I knew him from Taxi, and I just grown up watching them, and I felt like I could in some way, shape, or form relate to and identify with them.
Yeah.
So I went to the meeting, and then, you know, half hour into the meeting, I found myself auditioning for not one, but 4 parts that very day. And then when I finally got that part, I didn't want to do anything else. And if it wasn't for Penny Marshall, I certainly wouldn't be here today. And she was always so thoughtful and so kind, and she passed away recently, and I didn't get to make another movie with her. We had been talking about making another film for quite some time. Most acclaimed, successful female director, I think, of all time. And she left me wonderful gifts in her will. And I thought, oh my God, she'd already given me so much. And for her to think of me in that way, she was thoughtful and loving to everybody that she met. I mean, everybody that met Penny absolutely fell in love with and adored her. But music did allow me to find film, and film forced me to be disciplined. You know, because with music, you're allowed to show up late. You know, if I wanted to do 2 songs instead of 5 songs, whatever I wanted to do, if I wanted to cancel an interview or, you know, radio station or whatever, I'd just say, well, screw it, I'm not going. You know, hey guys, let's have another beer. You know, stay up later that night and do whatever we wanted. But movies really made me become disciplined and focused, and that was what I needed in my life. So.
Well, firstly, thank you for not cancelling this interview. That would have been really, really bad. You would have been very, very disappointed.
I'm happy to be here.
So did you have a sense early on that you wanted to get into acting, or was that like a bit of a...
No, it kind of, I mean, I had done a play in school. I played at Oompa Loompa and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory in the 4th grade, and had a little monologue there. But no, I mean, I loved movies. My dad, who was a truck driver and a Teamster, I was the youngest, so when I'd be at home, he would come and pick me up and take me to work with him sometimes. And going to work also meant going to the theater. So we would go to the theater, he'd, you know, sneak in, you know, a 6-pack of Schlitz beer, and I'd have some he'd give me some Oreo cookies, and we'd go in and we'd watch all these great old movies. And I grew up watching guys like Steve McQueen and Jimmy Cagney and John Garfield and Robert Ryan and guys like that. And so I had a huge love and appreciation for cinema, but I didn't ever imagine myself being in the movies. And then when I finally had the opportunity to be in movies, it was like, I felt like I was the best rapper in the world. Even though I was one of the worst rappers in the world, I still was successful, but I felt like, I don't know, I felt like I had this chip on my shoulder. I had to be real, I had to be tough and all this stuff. And then, but when I finally found acting, I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else.
Wow. So we often talk at Flight Centre about how our failures shape our successes. Early on in your acting career, was there a particular time where you really stuffed something up and you just thought, wow, I've learned so much from that?
Oh yeah, I mean, making good movies is really difficult. I mean, we always go in with the best intentions, and it's never for lack of effort. We always go in trying to make the best possible version of the movie, whether it's something that we hope is critically acclaimed or just commercial. We always hope we're going to make the best version of that movie, and it's really difficult. But I think I don't have too many regrets. There's a couple. I mean, it was always about, for me early on especially, it was about working with certain filmmakers.
Yes.
As opposed to just making movies that I would want to be in or that I thought audiences want to see me in. Movies like Planet of the Apes, I wasn't that excited to make a remake of Planet of the Apes, but I was totally excited about working with Tim Burton, who I think is one of the great auteurs of all time, and had an amazing experience making the movie. So at a certain point when I realized, well, my name is above the title, and that carries a certain amount of responsibility, then I realized I needed to start making decisions based on what I thought was best for my career. And at that point, I felt like I was experienced enough as an actor to take those challenges on, but also, if Clint Eastwood or Martin Scorsese or somebody like that calls and says, "Hey, you want to make a movie?" I'd be hard pressed to say no.
So you've acted in a big variety of movies, drama, action, comedy. Do you have a particular favourite genre?
I always like doing the complete opposite of the last thing that I did.
Oh, okay.
Like if I just did a really small drama, so I'm looking forward to, in September, making this kind of big, crazy action movie, and then hoping to do another comedy after that. But like after making a movie like Mile 22, it was really nice to just go into a studio and sit opposite somebody, Rose Byrne, who's a wonderful actress from Down Under.
Yes.
Fantastic. Give it up for Rose Byrne.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie!
Sorry. Yeah, no, I get it. Trust me. I'm surrounded by Aussies, so I get it.
Yeah.
But it was nice to just go in and sit and talk and try to make people laugh and then I want the action again. So it really just depends.
Yeah. What are you most proud of? Do you think from a?
Oh,
is there a particular movie that you were in that you just thought, I nailed it?
Movies, I would have to say always the true stories. So whether it be Lone Survivor, telling the story of Marcus Luttrell, Operation Red Wing, our brave men and women who serve our country and our communities, All of World Patriots Day, Invincible, The Fighter, all the true stories advertising to gravitate towards. Ted, I think, was one of the greatest experiences.
Fantastic.
And mind you, this is Vegas. Marijuana is legal now. It used to be a felony. Now it's actually legal. Not that I smoke anymore, but you guys seem to be the party crowd, so well, I don't smell any, but it's actually legal now.
So, you can tell me this, and we promise we won't tell anyone else. Who's your favourite actor that you've acted with?
Actor?
Or actress?
God, it's hard. I think, I've been fortunate enough to work with the likes of Jack Nicholson, Denzel Washington, Robert Duvall, James Caan, Ellen Burstyn, Faye Dunaway, Charlize Theron, Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Alan Baldwin. The list goes on and on and on. I think, but guys like Jack Nicholson or Robert Duvall, they remind me of my dad. So I'd have to say working with those guys, because my dad was the one who introduced me to cinema.
Yeah.
That was his first love. I remember, talking about all my successes in music and #1 record, or the Calvin Klein stuff, or like even making, hitting certain milestones as far as my level of pay in movies. My dad wasn't impressed with any of it. What he was impressed with was when I got nominated for The Departed, and he was like, "Now you can call yourself an actor."
Wow.
So yeah, he loved it. He never had an interest in being in the movies, but he always went to the movies. He always watched the Oscars, and so that was his thing. That was his proudest moment.
I can only imagine. Who's made you laugh the most?
Oh my gosh, Will Ferrell.
Oh. How do you keep a straight face? That is seriously acting genius to be able to keep a straight face.
You know what's great about Will is that, most comics, when you meet them, they're not what they appear on screen. A lot of them are kind of dark, and they're like, their comedy comes from some other tragic experience. Will is just a really sweet guy and he just likes to make people laugh. He's a sweetheart of a guy. He's a family man, a wonderful husband and dad. And he and I, we like to make each other laugh, but he's a sweet, sweet guy.
Yeah.
Really sweet. And I gotta tell you, I've always wanted to do comedy, but as I met certain comedy people, I was like, well, I don't think it's to be a pleasant experience. Like, it'll be fun on camera, and then as soon as the camera stops rolling, it's like back to kind of being like, everybody doing their own thing. And I won't say any names, but my first experience in Hollywood, I had just gotten out to LA. I was in a rental car driving down Rodeo Drive, and I saw one of what back then was somebody that I had idolized in comedy. And I went, oh my God, and I said his name, and he turned around and he goes, fuck you. And I was like, holy shit. Of course, never forget that, right?
No.
Cut to, I don't know, 15, 18 years later, I'm sitting in my trailer in Toronto, shooting a movie. We love Toronto. Congratulations to the Raptors. Sorry, Kawhi was one and done, but you guys it'll last a long time. I know how long you guys have been suffering, especially with the Leafs and everything else. So, well deserved. But so now I'm sitting in my trailer, and Boogie Nights is and just premiered at the Toronto Film Festival, and I get a knock at my door, and they're saying, "Hey, so and so saw your movie last night, Boogie Nights at the festival. He's dying to meet you." I said, "Oh, I met him before. Send him in." I'm sitting there with my buddy Rasta Phil. We're like, "Hey, what's going on?" He's like, "Dude, the movie was amazing." He's like, "It's so nice to meet you. I hope we get to." I said, "No, we've met." He goes, "No, I don't remember. We never met." I said, "Oh no, we met." What? He goes, "Yeah, first time we went to LA. Driving down the street. You were getting into your BMW." And I said, "Hey!" And he went, "Fuck you." I was like, "Oh, maybe I was talking to somebody else. I don't know." So it just reminded me, like, you could be going through whatever. I get it. Everybody has their own lives, and sometimes you don't want to be pulled in different directions and poked or prodded. But you treat people the way you want to be treated. And people go out of their way to see my movies and stuff. And if I'm gonna play kids and my wife starts to give me that really annoyed look, then maybe I'll say, "I owe you a picture. I can't do it now. I'll get you next time." But other than that, I don't like to say no. Never mind telling somebody to F off to their face.
Yeah.
So that was a great comedic start. Yeah. And I was like, wow, I don't know. I want to do comedy, but I don't want to deal with guys telling me to fuck up every day.
Are you naturally funny, do you think? Like, is that something you've had to work at, or I'm thinking you've got a good sense of humor?
I think anybody from this section, Boston, knows we're all tremendously talented at being sarcastic and wise asses and giving people shit. So, but comedy is something that there were always comedic elements to the performances that I'd done in movies, and so people thought that knew me that I could be successful in comedy, but it depends.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask certain people, they'll tell you that I'm very funny, and other people will be like, not funny at all.
Well, you've segued beautifully from acting into producing, and you've been the executive producer on some highly successful shows, including Boardwalk Empire, How to Make It in America, and of course a personal favourite, Entourage. Like that.
That's a good one.
It's a good one. Tell us a bit about your transition to producing and why that was an important move for you.
Well, I think in Hollywood, it was one of those things where, you've got an agent, you got a manager, you wait for somebody to send you a script, or, there's an opportunity for you to go in and meet the casting people or the director, or maybe you audition for a part. But you're always kind of waiting for, there's kind of guys who are more successful, more hot, so maybe, at that time, they get the first crack at the script, and if they pass, then it comes to me. I just wanted to be in control of my own destiny.
Yeah.
So I wanted to find material, develop material, and produce my own stuff. And it just so happened that my agent, Ari, the real Ari, was started out in the TV lit business, and he was starting a new agency. So we said, okay, he had been pursuing me to sign with the agency, and I was like, well, if you help us get into producing, even if it's via television, then we could have a great partnership together. And that was just part of the deal.
Yeah.
And so the first thing we got into was television. The first thing we produced was Entourage. But it's great because at the time when we were producing television, obviously, is not the same as film. You don't usually have as much time or money. So we needed to figure out how to make things on the fly and make things in a more inexpensive and efficient way. So that actually helped us when the film business started to change and the economics of film started to change, where the DVD business wasn't quite what it was before, so studios were claiming that there wasn't as much revenue share there, and how do you make a movie for less money in less time, and that's when we started to make The Fighter, we were able to make the movie in 33 days instead of what was and for $11 million, when the budget was initially $70 million and probably like a 65, 70-day shoot.
Wow.
So we just started, just again, to figure out a way to be in control of our own destiny.
That's phenomenal, yeah. I mean, in our IT world, it's the other way around. We have a budget for 11 million and we spend 70 million, so
I get it, I see it all the time, but I don't
happens
think you'll get too many bites at the apple in my business if you do it that way.
Can we expect, is there something in the pipeline we could be looking out for? Is there something exciting you're working on at the moment?
I'm working on tons of stuff. I just did this beautiful little movie that hopefully will come out at the end of the year that is very important, very important subject. I have another really kind of cool character in and around the crime world in Boston that I just shot with Peter Berg that's coming out in the spring. I've been developing $6 Billion Man for quite some time, which I think hopefully now will go into production in the beginning of 2020. Maybe spring.
And that's the $1 Million Man, is that?
It was based on the $6 million Man series. With inflation now, the price has gone.
Some of us grew up watching that, so.
But I think I love the series. And, Steve Austin and Lee Majors starring the part. But I think what we're trying to do in a world of the superhero craze, do something that is kind of has all those wish fulfillment things. Here's a human being who can do some pretty extraordinary things, but also is very grounded and real and believable. And if you think about, what people are doing with bionics and all this stuff now, it's pretty amazing. So I think we can do something special.
Fantastic. Well, we'll definitely all be watching that, won't we, people? So you are also very passionate about your charity work, in particular the Mark Wahlberg Youth Foundation. Absolutely. Can you tell us about the work your foundation does and why that's so important to you?
Well, I grew up in a bad neighborhood with not a lot of opportunity. And so I just wanted to make sure that I could give back and create opportunity for inner city kids and at-risk youth. So whether it's with the Boys and Girls Club and various organizations that we work with, we're just trying to create opportunity for kids, get kids in inner cities outside of the city and let them know there's a big world out there with lots of opportunity. And I think a lot of these kids that I'm meeting here at a Christmas party, they know that I'm from the same neighborhood as them, and they think, well, if I can make it out, why can't they? It's really about putting in the work. And I think if we can communicate with them one-on-one, if we've been able to inspire it's pretty amazing thing. So, but that's, if it would be a sin and a shame for me to be able to be fortunate enough to get out, turn my life around, and not give back and create some other opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that really resonates with the fighters here, because with our foundation, we've managed to raise $20 million. Is that correct? Right. Yeah, so far. So if any of our guys here would like to get involved with your foundation, what can they do?
All you got to do is reach out to my brother Jim, who runs the foundation, Mark Wahlberg Youth Foundation. Anything and everything would be helpful, even if it's communicating, reaching out to kids, maybe create some opportunities for them to intern, any of that stuff. Yeah. Okay. And also to see the world. I mean, I grew up. Anybody here from Boston knows. You knew Dorchester. You knew what the Celtics and the Red Sox were doing on TV. But you had that little neighborhood. You just thought the whole world lived like that. And once I was able to get outside of that, I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. Yeah. That's why I got in trouble so many times the first time I was out there, because somebody would be looking at me like, oh my God, this guy's going to try to fight me. I better hit him before he hits me. And that's what happens when you're in Boston.
Yeah.
Right? So you better be first. Yeah. Right? You're going to get your ass kicked. So I think, but no, being able to see the world now and experience so many things, I want every kid growing up, certainly in my neighborhood like it, to have that opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's great, and I think especially an internship is something that we could probably look at. What do you reckon, guys? It's awesome. Great. Now, you've also got a very successful family business, which is the Wahlberg restaurant chain, and I think there's one here in Vegas.
There's one here in Vegas.
There is one here in Vegas.
It's our highest grossing location in the world, in Las Vegas,
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, right outside of Bally's. You guys got to check it out.
Right, there'll be 3,000 people there at about 4 o'clock this
Come
morning.
have a cold one.
Looking for a burger. Are you an active business partner? And if so, what special skills do you bring to the table? Pardon the pun.
Yes, I'm the majority owner of the business. I also have built and I've been driving and building the business from day one.
Yeah.
My brother Paul came to me. My brother, and he's a star chef. He really is.
Yeah.
I would never have gone into this business if I didn't believe in my brother's talents. My brother had worked with me on a couple of movies. He was a chef working for various restaurants from place to place, city and state to state. And then he came to work with me on a couple of movies. He was my personal chef. And then he said, I really want to open my own restaurant.
Yeah.
I said, no problem. I believe in you. I brought a couple friends together. We financed the business for him. It was very successful. He named it after my mother. It's in Hingham, Massachusetts, called Alma Nova. And then, I don't know, a short time after that, he came to me and he goes, hey, I got another idea. I'm like, okay, what's that? He's like, I want to open a burger joint. I'm like, cool, no problem. He goes, I want to call Wahlbergers. I said, over my dead body. I spent too much time preparing my reputation, building my brand and business, and I think if you say Wahlberg, I think most people think of myself or Donnie. I said we gotta protect that, and for too long Wahlberg was a bad name all over the courts of Massachusetts. So I said no. But then, of course, the entrepreneur in me was like, all right, if we do this, we're going to do this in a big way. We're going to build a business that we're going to pass on from generation to generation.
Yeah.
And my brother is such a perfectionist. Like, in a perfect world, does Alma Nove, literally the two restaurants, the first Wahlburgers and Alma Nove aren't even as far apart as this stage from one side to the other. They're closer than that, probably half the distance. So in a perfect world, he would go from one restaurant to the other and literally take every order and prepare every order himself. That's how much of a perfectionist and a people pleaser he is.
Yeah.
But I said, that's not how it's going to work. We're going to build this business and we're going to do it in a way that most people haven't seen. So I decided, I had no desire to be on television any more than I was with my movies replaying or doing interviews, promoting movies. But I thought to create a television show that would be strictly used as a marketing tool to promote the business and the brand would really create excitement around it.
Yep.
And so now we have 32 locations.
Wow.
We just opened in London. Very conservative.
Any more plans to go global beyond that?
Oh yeah, I'm currently discussing Australia.
Oh.
There's a rowdy bunch.
It's about 1,500 of us that'll be there, so.
Australia, we're opening in Germany very soon, Ramsey, military base. We're trying to also bring our Wahlberger family experience to all of our military families all over the world.
Yep.
We're starting in Germany. So I've been building and growing this business, from the first. The problem with the show was we had this great marketing tool, but we only had one store. So if people wanted to experience Wahlburgers, they had to, and they did fly from all over the world to come to Hingham. And then we wanted to make sure that we could, as quickly as possible, make sure that we had one in their backyard.
Yep.
And then we wanted to say, okay, if they didn't have one, then we also wanted to do retail beef and be able to have them experience Wahlburgers when they wanted it in their own home. And all of those things were uphill battles with my brother. But my brother Paul now has since embraced growth and expansion. And look, his job is to create the customer experience and make sure he controls the menu. I don't tell him what to do. The only time I've ever had any issues about in-store stuff is about labor cost and quality, and consistency. Other than that, I want him to do his thing, but he is in control of the creative, the service, and I'm in control of growing and building the business. And Donnie is kind of like manager, people lover.
That's a great balance to have all those experts,
the business really brought our family together. And the funny thing about the show is my mom was like, I'm not doing any TV show. My brother Paul was like, I'm not doing any TV show. And then 10 seasons later, when it was finally coming to an end, they didn't want it to end. they didn't want it to be over. They actually, and like I said, it did bring us together. And it wasn't something where we were going to try to create drama. It was about trying to learn how to grow and build a family business. And it was hugely successful. So.
Any more business pursuits on the horizon? Anything different you're thinking of, or you can tell us?
Quite a bit. Of course, you know, a lot of my life revolves around health and wellness and fitness. So I've been in the sports nutrition business with performance-inspired nutrition, aqua hydrate, in the beverage business, which I don't recommend a lot of people get into the beverage business. Tough racket, really tough racket, the beverage business. But fitness, and now I found this wonderful business in Australia called F45. Fell in love with F45 fitness studios and functional fitness, and invested in the business. And so working on that, and of course, film, television, unrealistic ideas we just launched. So our own content platform we're launching, scripted stuff, unscripted stuff, a lot of stuff in the health and wellness space, and tons of other stuff. Never a free minute during the day for me. No.
Never a free minute. And you've got, I think you made mention of this before, you've got a beautiful wife and 4 gorgeous children.
Yes.
So quite the family.
I've also got a 15-year-old teenager.
Oh, okay.
Which is
right.
tough.
How's that going for you?
Some days better than others.
Yeah. Are they embarrassed by your fame, or?
Oh, terribly. But if they could use it, sometimes it's okay. It depends. If they want to meet somebody famous that I know, go to a concert, that sort of thing.
Really cool.
But you know, it's just teenager stuff. And I always tell my wife, I said, babe, I don't know about you, but I was 1,000 times worse. So let's just appreciate it. And they're happy, healthy. They all kind of have their own thing that they're into. But you know, teenagers, this day and age,
it's tough for them, absolutely. Have you met the first?
It's tough for me.
No.
Tough for her. She seems to be having a good old time.
Have you met the first boyfriend or girlfriend yet? Has that happened?
I've met a boyfriend. You know, I tried the scare tactic. One kid, he one up me. I said, all right, if you're gonna hang out with him, he's got to come over to the house. He's got to introduce himself to me. Yeah. And she said, no problem. And he brought his mom.
Clever.
Who works for the church, and there were times I was like, I can't say nothing, my whole routine is thrown out the window. But he was a very nice boy, and of course she was like, oh, I don't like him anymore. I'm like, oh, I liked him. You know, but I did come to realize, you know, she's gonna make her own choices this her life. All I could do is help her, point her in the right direction, be an example, and hope that she makes the right choices. But it really is. So then when I'm like, I get it, it's your life, you gotta do what you wanna do. She's like, so I can stay out till 1? I'm like, no, you gotta be home at 8:30. I'm locking the door behind you. And nobody's coming over with you. But she's like, well, that's really not me allowed to have my own life, Dad. I said, wait till you're 18, and then you can pay that phone bill.
Yeah.
Figure something out.
How do you balance the whole work commitment, you know, with your business pursuits, your acting, your charity, and your family time? Like, how do you make sure you create that balance there?
It's tough. I think the outside business is all the stuff outside of like acting, which is the most time consuming. And really, you know, I moved to LA to make movies, and they don't make a lot of movies in LA, unfortunately. They're making them all over the world. It seems like everywhere else but LA. So if I'm traveling, if it's a nice location, my wife will probably come for more time than, and if it's not a nice location, but I don't go more than 2 weeks without being home. And hopefully all my other business interests will allow me to then make less movies in the future and spend more time at home and really just be extremely, not that I'm not picky, but extremely picky about the movies that I want to make and what takes me away from home. But it's hard. That's the hardest part is the balancing act. If it's not extremely important, I'm gonna have to say no. I gotta be home with my family and my kids. I like taking them with me. They usually come out each movie for like 2 or 3 weeks. But with school now and all their other interests, it's tough.
It's getting tough, I know. Yeah. So in this changing world at the moment, what's your wish for your kids, for their future?
Oh, you know, I mean, it's already, we've done a pretty good job, but you know, things have changed, you know, what they have access to, you know, via, you know, their devices and everything else, what they can see, what they're exposed to. It's just very different, you know, kind of just being on top of it. But hopefully I'll I'll have an opportunity with my faith and my work ethic to be an example that will hopefully motivate them, inspire them to whatever they decide to do, to really do it 110%. I don't try to force them to go to church with me and do all those things. I just hopefully they'll realize it's that important to Dad that no matter what, wherever he is in the world, on Saturday or Sunday, he's going to get to Mass.
Yeah.
That works for him. Then maybe there's something there. Maybe they'll kind of, that'll pique their interest and they'll gravitate to it.
Yeah. Do you think they'll get a sense of the discipline that you have in your life and will follow through? Like, are they quite disciplined as well? Or?
My youngest is very disciplined. I mean, she's 9. She's now going, she's a horse owner. She's an equestrian.
Wow.
She's volunteering at the barn. She's shoveling poop. She's making her own lunch. She's like up and ready, clanging those boots around the house at 6 in the morning. She doesn't have to leave till 9:30. And she's ready to go.
Wow.
And so she is. And then my son's like, Dad, you don't have to work on every day. Duh. You're not that strong. And I'm like, dude. Like, what? Like, well, man, I gotta work. I'm working. I'm training. I'm getting ready for work. Yeah, we could take a day off. And they just went, and they're like, what are you gonna do? We play video games. What do you think I'm gonna do? Like, well, you don't have to play video games all the time. And then when I take the week, I got a bad attitude. But
does it remind you of you when you were younger, or like do you see a bit of yourself?
No, I always tell my wife we're blessed. I was 100 times worse.
Yeah.
But we were different. It was like when you woke up in the morning, my mother at 7 o'clock in the morning, she'd kick us out and say, come home at dinner. And go climb a tree. Throw a rock. Like nothing to do. I built this giant house with pools and basketball court and skate park, all the things that I wanted when I was a kid.
Yeah.
They don't even use it.
Yeah.
They're like, Dad, this is so boring. I'm like, look out the window. Forget Disneyland out there. And they're like, yeah, whatever. I'm like, oh, God. And I'm like, well, then go climb a tree. Skip some rocks. What do you want me to tell you? So it's, for us, we always found fun or then found trouble, but,
Because you have a bit of a crazy schedule, don't you? Like, I've kind of read this somewhere, I'm not sure if this is right, but you get up at like some crazy hour, like 2:30 in the morning, is that right? Or did I read that right?
Well, this is how this whole thing happened.
Okay, right.
I was making a movie, so for 150 days, I didn't drink anything other than water, and I'm a wine lover, so it was tough locking up the wine cellar, but didn't drink anything, didn't eat anything other than what was on my diet. And so that meant getting up at 2:30 in the morning and training and doing all this stuff. And so people were like, kept asking, what's your schedule? So then finally I sat down with this somebody that works with me, and I basically mapped out what my whole day looked like for that particular movie. And then it took on a life of itself, where people were like talking about the schedule and, and some people tried to actually do the schedule, and it said I forget, 6:30 was like shower, and then 7:30 I started playing golf. So they thought I literally showered from 6:30 to 7:30 or 8 o'clock. I was like, no, and the guy was like, he tried to do it. He was in there for 15 minutes. The hot water ran out, and he stayed for another 25 minutes, and he couldn't take it anymore. I was like, no, I would take a 5-minute shower, and then I'm off traveling. I didn't say, well, I drive. That would have been a whole other thing, map every street that I go by and what time I go by there. So I figured, I kind of broad stroke the schedule. Yeah. But now I'm training again to do a movie, so I'm in my second week of really disciplined, eating clean. I woke up this morning at 2:30.
Right, okay.
But I went to bed at 7:30.
Yeah. Well, most of these guys just got to bed at 2:30 this morning. So
I can imagine. I think
so that's like a tag team on the way through. And,
I had to figure past that. But I woke up in the morning. I got my kids a dog, and this thing, he's sleeping in a crate beside my bed. So I got my daughter sleeping beside the bed, and my wife and the dog in the crate. I'm tiptoeing around. I don't want to wake up the dog. Can't even walk around in my own house. And the dog starts barking, and I got to take the dog. We're crate training the dogs. I got to take the crate and him down at 3:30 in the morning to go to the bathroom. It's
that's tough.
But so I got up, worked out, had all my prayer time and everything, and then went and played golf. And then got on the plane, came here to visit everybody, and then I'll go home. And I got church today in LA, and then I'll have dinner with my family, and maybe take a dip with the kids.
Fantastic.
And then wake up early again tomorrow. It feels good because I also, mind you, when I was not trading, I didn't miss a day of eating pasta and drinking wine and enjoying myself thoroughly. So, I'm either in or I'm out.
Yeah. Okay, all in, all out.
Yeah, one of those
balance
guys.
of the two. Well, thanks for telling us that, because when I read your schedule, I thought this is absolutely amazing that you do this 365 days of the year. Like, I was absolutely in awe. So I'm glad you're human. It's good to
I've
hear.
had many opportunities in movies where I had to gain as much weight as possible, be out of shape, like Deepwater Horizon and stuff like that. I just really do whatever the job requires. But the difference is, I'm going to do it 110%. And I know I'm fortunate to have the jobs that I have and the position that I'm in, and I don't want to do anything to mess it up or compromise it in any way. So I work harder, I'm more committed to doing the best job that I can now than I was when I was 22 or 25 or 30. It's just, I don't forget where I came from. I don't forget the sound of those doors closing in front of me or behind me, and I feel really appreciative, but I'm also not going to do anything to mess it up.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's really Now, I think you're renowned for being a great storyteller, and we've seen that today, haven't we, guys? And even a bit of a prankster. Are you a bit of a prankster?
I've been able to do some, in my
So do you play any jokes on your fellow actors, and are there any stories that you could share with us that you're happy to leave us with?
Huh? Ask Paul. Yeah, I torture my brother Paul. I have two gentlemen that are with me today, and I'm training them, and I'm trying to inspire them to work out, and so that means them getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning to get to my house at 2:30. And then we went and worked out, went to the golf course, then we came here, and then we went upstairs because we got here like an hour early. And there's a weird hotel. There's one bed, and then beside the bed there's a bathtub, and then there's a bathroom, but there's no toilet in the bathroom. The toilet is in the other room. I'm like, what's going on here? So they're pretty tired. So I was like coming into the bedroom, the guy's laying in the bed. I'm like, what are you doing? So I'm like, take the pillow, go in the bathtub. So he goes in the bathtub with the pillow and he falls asleep. And I'm like, we gotta turn the water on. Gotta turn the water on. So then I go up to him, and then I tiptoe up, and I got both faucets in my head, and I yell, hot or cold, hot or cold? And he wakes up and says, please, I only got one set of clothes, I only got one set of clothes. And I didn't turn the water on. I didn't do it. But I couldn't help. Yeah, you always think of ways that you could bust somebody's chops or do something.
You gotta have some fun, right?
Yeah, but you also gotta know when to and not.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, tonight we have our annual awards night, so this is where we give out awards to the best of the best. And I was wondering if you'd be happy to share a little acting tip with us, because as you know, when you're at an awards ceremony, not everyone gets their name called out, but not everyone gets to go up on stage. So can you help some of our people here who need to keep that, that steely face sort of going when they haven't won an award?
Well, let me ask you, are there people who are nominated? It's like there's certain
There'll be a
people
few that will not be
up, but they're up for it and they know that it's between them and somebody else.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
That's tough.
I mean, you feel like, like the Oscars, they say, oh God, it's just great to be nominated, don't worry about it. You go there and you're like, yeah, it's just good to be here, and then you lose, you're like, shit. I just did a movie in Boston with Alan Arkin.
Yeah.
And when I was nominated for The Departed, he won for Little Miss Sunshine. And everybody thought Eddie Murphy and was also nominated. He won the Golden Globe and the SAG Award, but he didn't end up winning the Oscar. Alan Arkin did. And I was like, there's a couple times I was going to try to snatch Alan Arkin and say, where's my award, man? But, I think, it's just one of those things where I think, it's just great to be in the conversation. And more importantly, you work hard. If my whole philosophy is like we were talking about earlier, never for lack of effort, right? You lay it all out on the table. The thing is, if you don't do your best, you kind of cut corners, you get a little bit lazy, you just don't give it your all, then you feel regret. You feel it's always the what if. Well, if only I got up a little bit earlier, if only I worked a little bit harder, if only I chased a couple more accounts, that's when you feel bad. If you worked hard, you put it all out there, you always feel good about it. It doesn't matter. Just sometimes, you know, people get lucky and they get Kawhi Leonard and they just win. And they're not supposed to. It just happens, right? You never know. Crazy shit happens. But no, I think if you guys are here, you guys are in your field, you're successful, you're partying, it's like you're already winning. You know, enjoy it. Just don't get arrested. You know, don't end up naked on Instagram. You know. Oh well, there you go. Don't meet somebody today in the afternoon and get married tonight at the little chapel. Too late again? Oh my God. Well, there you go.
We often talk to our leaders here about leaving behind a legacy that's meaningful. What legacy would you like to leave behind?
Well, when you talk about giving back and all those things, I always felt like, and even when I talk about how hard I work today versus how hard I worked when I was younger, I always felt like, well, part of this is probably too good to be true, but I'm going to hang on as long as I can. I'm not going to lead anybody on to thinking like I really don't belong here. So if nobody else recognizes it, maybe I'll just keep sliding through. But I've always felt like if I could do the right thing and go home to Boston and be welcomed back and respected for what I've done and what I've accomplished and the way I've represented where I come from, then that was important to me. So that legacy, being able to be somebody who could have easily went the other way, because a lot of my friends unfortunately didn't get a second chance and were incarcerated, and a lot of them are not here anymore. So to be able to go home and be welcomed with open arms, that's pretty special. And then I just want to be a good example to my kids. I want to be a good father and husband. All the work stuff is cool. I've been able to accomplish some great things. I think I've only cracked the surface of what I want to accomplish. But you know, I think personally, you know, I don't think, and also being devout Catholic and knowing that, you know, the more successful you are, the harder it is, the smaller the window is to get into that gate, you know. And so I want to take the talents and gifts that I've been given and use them to help others and inspire others, and hopefully do what God intended for you to do with those gifts and talents and blessings, and share those with others. So.
Well, can I say we absolutely enjoy your talents and the gifts that you're sharing with us. Thank you so much. Sadly, we are out of time.
What a lovely time I had.
What a lovely time we've had. Now, we will be
Next time,
partying on...
invite me when I'm not on the wagon.
Okay. Yes.
So we can do this the right way. We'll turn this water into wine.
That would be absolutely fantastic. We just want to thank you for being so generous with your stories and your time. We've enjoyed every minute of it, haven't we? So give it an fantastic round of applause. Mark Wahlberg, we absolutely love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.